Just like and, there are 4 possibilities for an or type inequality. And they're the same 4 possibilities, but they have slightly different results. The first type has as an example x is greater than or equal to 5 or x is less than 8. What does this look like when I graph it? X is greater than or equal to 5. Here's x is less than 8. And now down here I want to mark the points that are on one or the other or both. These points are on one of them. 5 is on both. These points in the middle are on both. 8's on one of them. And these points are on over here are on one of them. It looks like we've marked the whole number line. Every number is either at least as big as 5 or smaller than 8. All right, so our solution here is all real numbers. If we want interval notation, we can write negative infinity, infinity. When does this happen? The same time that type 1 happened for and inequalities. When we have arrows in opposite directions and they overlap, they have points in common. What's the second possibility? An example of this would be x is less than or equal to 5 or x is less than negative 2. What do we see when we draw this on the number line? So here's x is less than or equal to 5. It gets a square bracket. Here's x is less than negative 2. It gets a round bracket. And now on this line we're going to mark everything that's on one or the other or both. So these are on both. These are only on the top one. 5 is included. So what's our solution? Just x is less than or equal to 5, right? This picture looks exactly like this picture. And of course, anything that's less than negative 2 is already in on account of being less than or equal to 5 as well. If we want to write this in interval notation, no left endpoint, right endpoint is 5, and it gets a square bracket. When does this happen? When both of our arrows point left. What's the third possibility? This has as an example x is greater than 7 or x is greater than or equal to 42. What does this look like? Here's x is greater than 7. Here's x is greater than or equal to 42. X is greater than 7 gets a round bracket. X is greater than or equal to 42 gets a square bracket. Now we want to mark all the points that are on one or the other or both. Here's 7 up to 42. You can see all of these points are on at least one of our two graphs. This picture looks exactly like this picture. So in our solution, we just need x is greater than 7. And of course, any number that's at least as big as 42 is already in because it's also bigger than 7. When does this happen? This happens when both arrows point to the right. You've probably already guessed the last possibility. The last possibility has as an example x is less than negative 1 or x is greater than or equal to 2. What do these look like? Well, here's x is less than negative 1 with a round bracket. Here's x is greater than or equal to 2 with a square bracket. Well, the things that are on one or the other or both, there's nothing on both. There's just this stuff on the first one, this stuff on the second one. So we actually need both of these. In our solution, we just say x is less than negative 1 or x is greater than or equal to 2. In interval notation, notice again there's a gap here. So we describe the two parts separately. negative infinity up to -1, round bracket, because this is a round bracket, union, square bracket 2, because this is a square bracket, up to infinity. All right, so what are the four possibilities here? Arrows in opposite directions that overlap. The solution is negative infinity, infinity. Arrows that are both to the left. The solution is negative infinity up to a number with an appropriate bracket shape. Arrows that are both to the right. The solution is a number with an appropriate bracket shape up to infinity. And arrows in opposite directions with a gap. The solution is negative infinity up to a number with an appropriate bracket, union, appropriate bracket number, up to infinity.